Hey guys, Icy here, and today we are going to talk about the last video of my healer series, the epilogue of PvE healing. Timestamps will be in the description below. So before we get started, we need to establish who the target audience is for this video. The intent is for the somewhat casual PvE healer who can complete vet content successfully, but they're yearning for the next thing. They want to become more efficient and achieve faster clears. So where does that leave us? Optimization. I'm going to break this up into two parts, gear and buff uptimes. So let's start with the gear. The foundation I use on all of my PvE healers are Symphony of Blades and Spell Power Cure. Symphony of Blades is the best all-around monster set for sustain in PvE, and Spell Power Cure for access to the Major Courage buff, which is super easy to maintain since there's so much healing in the game that overhealing is an afterthought. From here, I have two setups when I do dungeons with my group, trash fights and boss fights. For trash setups, I run Powerful Assault, which will increase our team's weapon and spell damage by a flat amount for 10 seconds. Since the trash mobs in dungeons have less health compared to the boss, we can kill them relatively quickly, so having a slightly higher weapon and spell damage makes the most sense. For boss setups, I run Elemental Catalyst, which will boost our team's overall damage output by 6%. Counter to trash fights, the boss fights are longer, and having that percentage boost in damage scales better than a flat damage boost. In dungeon content, the longer the fight, the more value EC has over PA. Now for console players, I recommend just running Elemental Catalyst the whole time since they don't have add-ons to help them switch efficiently. Now for buffs, we want to try to maintain as high an uptime as possible so our team can maximize their damage output throughout the fight. If you're on PC, I'd recommend using Buff the Group add-on. It makes keeping track of your allied buffs really easy, and if you're on console, just do your best. Okay, so since I'm a Templar main, I'll be using that as my example. We'll start by buffing our DPS with pre-buffs, and by pre-buffs, we're just talking about buffs that we apply before combat starts. I'll use Combat Prayer to trigger Minor Berserk, and that heal will also trigger Major Courage from the Spell Power Cure set. Also, I'll be using Living Dark to trigger Minor Sorcery from the Templar's Illuminate passive, which can be found under the Dawn's Wrath tree. Once the tank initiates, combat will start, and you'll want to immediately apply your other buffs to your team or the boss. Caltrops to trigger Powerful Assault, or Elemental Blockade and Reflective Light to trigger Elemental Catalyst. Now this will take some practice to get used to, but it's well worth it, and one way you can practice without being in a dungeon is to utilize a training dummy with a partner. And just before we start the parse, you want to make sure you have the Combat Metrics add-on installed. In your buffs in and buffs out window at the top right, make sure you have the buffs you care about on your favorites. You can do that by right-clicking the buff and selecting Add to Favorites. This will always keep them at the top whenever you are reviewing that data. And once you're all set up, you can start the parse. Alright, and after the parse is over, you'll want to ask your DPS to post their uptimes of Minor Berserk, Major Courage, and Minor Sorcery to see how you did. And you want to aim for anything above 90% consistently as you can, because if you can do that, then you'll be really sought after as a healer. Okay, so before I close out the video, I do want to leave off with one last thing. Maintaining a high buff uptime is a double-edged sword. Sometimes I'll find myself getting so preoccupied in maintaining a high buff uptime that I just forget to heal outright. I've seen this with my Necro when trying to maintain Empower, Minor Berserk, and Elemental Catalyst. It's possible, but just be mindful of what's going on because uptimes don't even matter if someone dies. Equally, with sets like Martial Knowledge, the uptimes have different expectations. Martial Knowledge has a cap at 62% since it has a 5-second uptime and a 3-second downtime. So if you can maintain anything above 40, 45, or 50% uptime, then you'll be a legend in the trial community and set yourself apart from other healers. Okay, so that's the end of the video and the end of the series. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And I know this video was short, but honestly, there's no reason to make it any more complicated. You wear sets that buff your team's damage and keep them active as much as possible. Simple as that. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. See ya.